As Ukraine struggles to field soldiers, recruitment centers are attacked. So the Ukrainians, I don't know when this war is going to end, but I get the feeling that it's going to end soon, or at least temporarily. The Ukrainians have been losing left, right, and center, and they keep losing manpower. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers have been killed and injured, and it's horrific. It really is. And so the war against the Russians has proven to be such a devastating blender of gore and carnage that nobody wants to fight. Nobody wants to fight. That's the thing. So it's come to the point where they are attacking recruitment centers in Ukraine. Now, this is from the Washington Post, if anybody's wondering. So it says here, as Ukraine struggles to field soldiers, recruitment centers are attacked. So the Ukrainians are tired of fighting. We're sick. We're done. No more death. So many people killed, slaughtered, maimed, wounded, losing limbs. And guess what the Ukrainians are doing? They're blaming the attack on the recruitment centers on Russia. They're saying it's the Russians attacking the recruitment centers. Word? I think it's just people who don't want to be recruited. Now, this Russian gentleman in the chat says that he could explain. Please do. I'm interested to get your input on this. Ukraine asks America for nukes. America says, nah, you're on your own. Exactly. As Ukraine faces a desperate shortage of troops at the front line, there has been a wave of bombings against the recruitment centers meant to replenish the ranks, which law enforcement officials are calling a Russian-orchestrated campaign. Perhaps some of them are done by Russian operatives, but I'm pretty certain they are people attacking recruiters and recruitment centers because they don't want to do any more of this nightmare. In just the past week, explosions have gone off at 3 draft offices across the country. In 2 of the blasts, those placing the bombs were also killed, while 12 others were injured, including servicemen. Ukraine's Domestic Security Service, this SBU, said that Russian special forces, I shouldn't be laughing at this, Russian special forces are recruiting young men to carry out the attacks in exchange for money. That's what the Ukrainians are saying. Perhaps there's truth to it, but I think that this is stemming from a real longing for the fighting to end, and it's a longing to not be recruited, to be pushed into a meat grinder. The bombings come as Ukraine's mobilization efforts has been flagging 3 years after Russia launched its full-scale invasion. Soldiers in the field have said reinforcements are needed to fend off the invading Russians, but few Ukrainians are volunteering. You think? They don't want to die. It's as simple as that. They don't want to die. So like, we gotta, more people, just keep throwing them in. It's just throwing them in. And the ones who got unlucky and were kidnapped sent people to the trenches with no training. Yeah, they're just sending people off. Just die. Here you go. Just die. Keep going. Throw more people in. What's the population of Ukraine right now? I mean, I'm sure the population has changed tremendously. What's the current population of Ukraine? $2025. 2024 is so yesterday. 39,980,376 people. So in their mind, they're saying, man, we got practically 39. Okay, let's just round it off. We got 40 million people. We got the same population as Canada. This is like Canada going to war with the U.S. Also, most of their brigades are at 30% strength, equipment, manpower. Man, what a nightmare. 30% strength. Oh my God. So they're really just going off on a limb here. I mean, they are fighting on hairs here. Nothing. They're surviving by the distance of a single hair from your scalp. I mean, really, it's just a nightmare. But yeah, we got 40 million. We got more to spare. Just keep throwing them. Keep throwing guys in. That's right. Churn them out. Crank them out. Crank them out, guys. Got the Elden Ring music playing. Let's try to get different music. Hold on. I'll get some Scandinavian music. Yeah, just keep churning them out. Just keep cranking them out. Who cares? My far relative from Kharkov lost his son. Damn. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. You know, war, to me, war is the greatest crime ever. It really is. It's the greatest crime ever. There was a saying from Herodotus that, I'm pretty sure this is from Herodotus, correct me on this if I'm wrong, but it goes something like this. In times of peace, young men bury their fathers. In times of war, fathers bury their sons. And war is the greatest tragedy. You know, today I was reading a book. It's called Armenian Golgotha. Very good book so far. And it's written by an Armenian priest. His name was Grigoris Malkanian. What's his name? Balkanian. Grigoris Balkanian. And in this book, he talks about the Germans. He lived in Balakian. Sorry, Grigoris Balakian. Grigoris Balakian lived in Germany at the time of World War I just beginning. And he talks about his experience in Berlin right when World War I was about to begin. And he says that you could go to Berlin the night before Germany declared war on Russia. And he said you could see people by the tens of thousands gathered together on the streets just to hear Mr. Kaiser Wilhelm. And they waited. I mean, they were sitting there on the streets waiting for hours just to gain sight of their emperor, the Kaiser. And they say that they were on the street somewhere, and there was this stage, this ginormous stage, and the curtains were about to open, and they were waiting in anticipation, waiting to see their Kaiser, and the curtains opened up, and they could see Kaiser Wilhelm II on the stage. And Mr. Balakian says that you could see the whole crowd just losing their minds, just going in absolute hysteria. And it's like a demon possessed them. He said that they were just absolutely hysterical. And Mr. Wilhelm II began to speak. And this is after these people waited for 4 hours just to listen to him speak, just to see him speak. And Mr. Wilhelm said that I have sought for peace, but my enemies, the Russians, they have exhausted my patience, he said. And in his hand he had a sword, and he said, I have unsheathed my sword, and my sword will remain unsheathed until we get victory, until my enemies have been defeated. This is what he said. It's like something out of the ancient world. You read that stuff. You can't imagine. This happened in 1914. It reads like something out of an ancient Roman book about a war that took place in far antiquity. And the whole crowd went nuts. And Kaiser Wilhelm II said, go to your churches and get on your knees and pray to God for victory. And Mr. Balakian recounts how you could see all these churches in Berlin filled to the brim with people praying for victory. And young men by the droves joining the recruitment centers, enlisting into the military. men by the droves, rushing themselves into war, thinking that they were fighting for their country, thinking that they were fighting for a noble cause. And Mr. Balakian notes that there was an anti-war movement the night before Germany declared war. There was an anti-war meeting the night before Germany declared war. And he went to that meeting and he said there were, I want to say there were tens of thousands. Yeah, he said that there were tens of thousands of Germans who went to this meeting opposing war with Russia. And there was a speech that was made at this meeting, and in this speech it was said that the German people, if they go to war with the Russians, the German people will be pushed to their deaths, and that this war will be done only for the financial benefit of industrialists, and that the people will not benefit from such a war, that the men who will fight and die in the fields of battle will not benefit from such a war, but there will be a small body of men who will profit from such a war. And they were right. They were right. And so what happened? Hundreds of thousands of Germans enthusiastically went to the battlefields. They went to the battlefields. And who profited? Who profited were the industrialists. And in fact, there was a Jewish German industrialist in World War I. His name was Walter Rathenau, and that guy made bank. He was one of the wealthiest men in Germany, Jewish guy, one of the wealthiest men in Germany. And he was a proud patriot. And that's another thing that was happening in Germany at that time. Mr. Balakian describes this in his memoir. He talks about how there was this crazy atmosphere of nationalism in Germany. He said it was amazing. It was so intense. You could feel it in the air. And he said that you could see there were all these military marches that were happening in Germany. He says, and he talks about how the night after war was declared, he went to a cafe. Now, I'm reading this book this morning, and I'm thinking, what's this guy doing? Some Armenian dude with a big-ass beard. He looks Russian. He looks like he's straight out of the Soviet Union. He sees the speech by Kaiser Wilhelm II. He sees the hysteria in the streets. He sees how people are drunk off of nationalism. And what does his foreign ass do the next day? Goes to a cafe. I'm telling you, if I was living in Germany in 1914 as an immigrant and I saw Wilhelm's speech and I saw how hundreds of thousands of Germans were just losing their minds over the idea of going to war with Russia, the last place I'll be the next day is in a damn cafe. I'll lock myself in. I was like, nope, I'm staying inside. I'll be leaving off canned sardines for a while. I ain't going out. But this Armenian priest, Mr. Grigoris Balakian, he goes to a cafe with his friends. And he said, as we were drinking coffee, there was a military march in front of the cafe. This phone just keeps, it literally said, I got goosebumps. Stop doing that, damn it. It just said low battery again. I literally put you in the charger. This is creepy. We're getting into creep. I gotta stop myself. Let's take a drink, Ted. Hold yourself together. Anyway. The next day, this phone is distracting me. The next day, Mr. Balakian goes to a cafe. And he says, he's with his friends. And he says, as we were drinking coffee, there was this military march in front of the cafe. And he said, this is so crazy. He said there was a group of people who began to point at him saying, that guy's a Russian. Look at him. Big bearded man. big bearded man who looks sort of racially ambiguous, kind of European, kind of Mediterranean. We don't know exactly what he is, but he's got a big beard and he's got that weird priestly gown on because he was a priest. He's Russian! Russian! You know what happened to Mr. Balakian? A police officer comes to him and says, hey, you come with me. And they start taking Mr. Balakian to the police station because because these assholes thought he was Russian. So they start taking him to the police station, and as they're escorting him to the police station, all of a sudden a mob begins to form, and they proceed to beat up Mr. Balakian. Yes. Do you know who were the guys who accused him of being a Russian? They were Jewish. He said a group of Jewish men began to incite the mob, and they began to point their fingers at him, saying he's a Russian. So we see Walter Rathenau, Jewish industrialist, very nationalistic. We have these, and I'm not saying all Jewish people are this way. I'm not saying that Jewish people are like this, generally speaking, but they were these Jewish men who were very nationalistic, who began to entice people to nationalism. And they began to say, that guy is Russian, that guy, get him, Russian, Russian. And then a mob begins to form, and they began to beat up Mr. Balakian. So then what happens after World War I? Well, let's talk a little bit about World War I for a moment here. So all these Germans, what happens to them? All these Germans start mobilizing to war. And you know what happened to those Germans? They died. A lot of them died. A lot of them did not make it. Hundreds of thousands, millions of Germans, in fact, died in that war. In the name of patriotism. In the name of nationalism. And do you know what Mr. Balakian says in his book? He says, the German men assembled and they moved by the droves into the battlefields, thinking that they were fighting for their country, when the reality was they were dying for nothing. That's what they said. They said this is what Mr. Balakian said. They died for nothing. They died for some industrialists. It's horrifying when you think about it. So then you fast forward to Ukraine, and you see what's been going on there. NATO wanting a war against Russia, provoking the Russians, and the Russians invade, and the Americans and the British say, keep on dying, Ukraine. Keep on going. Fight the Russians. And what happened after World War I? What happened after World War I? What happened after World War I was nationalism got even worse. Nationalism grew even more. This is just me moving the camera, guys. It's not the phone. There's the phone. The phone is gone. Okay. And the nationalism in Germany grew to such an extent that Germans began to blame Jewish people for everything. And Walter Rathenau, who was this big German industrialist, super nationalistic, super patriotic, Walter Rathenau gets murdered. By who? A Nazi. Some Nazi murders Walter Rathenau. My point is, you have people who love nationalism and think it's the greatest thing ever, and they support it, and they make money off of it, and they entice people to it, only to be killed by the very thing that they promoted. It says here, at the same time, a growing divide between military and civilians worsened. the research group said in a recent release of their findings. Some soldiers placed stickers on their cars to say that they weren't recruitment officers because vehicles were being set on fire. So it's not just a case of Russians are influencing people to hate the recruiters. It's literally just people who hate recruiters and don't want to be recruited. That's what this is. If it's just the Russians influencing people, then why do we have this actual divide? And why are recruiters putting stickers in their cars saying, we're not, or why are soldiers putting stickers in their cars saying, we're not recruiters, don't attack the car? The SBU and National Police said this week they had jointly identified 497 individuals who had committed arson against military vehicles or planned to bomb recruitment centers and the Ukrainian railway, which is crucial for delivering weapons to the front line. On January 31st, a new conscript being transported to a training center. Now, this is a crazy-ass story, guys. Check this one out. Crazy-ass story. On January 31st, a new conscript being transported to a training center called an acquaintance to help him escape, according to law enforcement officials. When the bus stopped at a gas station, the acquaintance arrived and allegedly shot and killed a recruitment officer while he and the conscript escaped. So this dude got drafted. He tells his friend, listen, you got to get me out of here. I'm going to die. So his friend comes over to the bus as it was stopped at a gas station. The guy comes to the bus, shoots the recruitment officer, and the guy who got drafted and the murderer run off. But they got caught eventually. So it says here that Ukrainian polling has revealed an upward trend of people preferring a ceasefire, even if it means Russia maintaining... Look at this, this is so crazy. This is why I highlighted this part red. Ukrainian polling has revealed an upward trend. This guy, it sounds like a horrible romantic comedy. Oh. It sounds like a terrible romantic comedy. When I had a TIA, I tried to go to confession, and the Catholic Church was closed, but the Romanian Orthodox Church was open. I didn't get sacraments, but maybe it's a sign. What's TIA? This is what actually happened in Syria. Soldiers bribed with foreign funds. If you hate God, then as a loving God, he will not force you to be in his presence. Absolutely. That is a very good observation. Yeah, that's right. All these atheists and all that, they hate God. And so God says, you hate me, I don't want to be around you. Anyway, Ukrainian polling has revealed an upward trend of people preferring a ceasefire, even if it means Russia maintains control of occupied Ukrainian territory for at least the foreseeable future. So you have people in Ukraine saying, we don't give a damn if the Russians control us. Just get the fighting to stop. It's very bad, guys. It's very bad. When you've come to the point where you got tons of Ukrainians saying, we don't want to go to the war. We don't want to go into the battlefield. You recruit us. Damn it. We're going to attack the recruitment center. We are done with this. Well, Russia's gonna control Donbass, Luhansk, Donetsk. They're going to take the Ukrainian heritage away, and women are not gonna put the little flowers on their hair and do the weird dance in a circle because Russia's going to take. We can't. No, they're saying fuck this shit. Fuck this. Life is way too short to give a shit if this area of Ukraine is ruled by people who say Privyet, and this other area of Ukraine is ruled by people who sound like they're from Poland. Life is too short to give a shit about this type of stuff. Life is too damn short. It's too damn short to give a shit if your street is named after some Russian engineer who lived in the Tsarist times, as opposed to having a street named after some Nazi collaborator. They just say, who cares at this point? You want to call the street Stalin Street? So be it. You want to call the street Tsarist Street? So be it. You want to change the name of Starbucks into Czarbucks? Go right ahead. We don't give a damn. You want to remove the name Bandera from the street? Bandera? Ban the whole damn thing. Ban Bandera. Who gives a damn? Well, over here they say Privet. Over here they say Briovo. Over here they call it the city of Kiev. But we call it Kiev. Damn it, as long as we are here, it is being called Kiev, damn it. Nope, it's gonna get called Kiev. And remember, since forever, we called it Kiev. I called it Kiev. I was told that it was Kiev. I heard people say it was Kiev. I heard Kiev, damn it. It has a K-I-E-V. Kiev. After 2022, after February of 2022, all of a sudden, every moron on Instagram was saying, nope, it's called Kiev. You gotta call it Kiev. Motherfucker, I don't see a double E. I see an I. So I'm gonna call it Kiev. It's called Kiev. No one gives a shit no more. They just want to live. They want to save their own ass. Well, they're going to call. I remember years ago. I remember back in 2022, they were talking about changing the street names in Kiev, and they were saying, this one street in Kiev is named after some Russian engineer who didn't even live in communist times. He lived before communism, and he lived during the Tsarist times. And they said, but damn it, he's Russian engineer, electrical engineer, but we don't want his name on the street because it's a blight on our country, and we will not allow it. Yeah, but the dude wasn't even a communist. He wasn't a Stalinist. He was just some Tsarist dude. He lived under the time of the Tsar. And plus, he was considered, he was a very good electrical engineer. It don't matter, damn it. It don't matter. We have to change it. So all the freaking people in Kiev had a vote on what they were going to change the name to. You know what they changed the name to? They named it after a Nazi collaborator. I forgot the name, but they named after a Nazi collaborator. Damn it, we have to name it after a man. No. It's named after electrical engineer who lived in Tsarist times. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't kill nobody. Damn it, we don't want his name here. But we found a Nazi collaborator who also was a mass murderer. Put his name on the street on big plaque, damn it. I don't know. Nazi collaborator, he killed people. He is worthy of street name. Worthy of the street name. I drink vodka to his name. I eat black bread to his name. We will do it, damn it. I will not stand as electrical engineer's name is on street. No. Really, this was what we were seeing. We were reading about this shit in the news all the time. Oh well, this one street was named after this one dude who was Russian. Nope. If he ain't a Nazi collaborator, I don't want his name. That's the mentality. And all the morons, all the Insta hoes, all the TikTok hoes, everybody on Fuckbook, Instaho, XXX, Twitter. It's Kiev, damn it! It's Kiev! Operation Gladio, that's right. They don't want the name because he wasn't a murderer. They want to idolize people. Yeah, they're crazy. What's the cockhole mentality? Kokol. Zelensky. Yeah, isn't it weird that the guy who's running Syria looks eerily close to Zelensky. It's almost like they're related. It's almost like they both share Semitic genetic overlap. Isn't that interesting? Saw where a Ukrainian rabbi was calling for the release of Assad. This is the bullshit I'm talking about. That's the kind of shit they saw before World War I, or after World War I, or during, after, before they were seeing this kind of shit. Like, we are Jewish, but we're nationalists, and we love Nazis. What? Yeah, damn it. I'm a rabbi. I love Azov, but Azov Battalion hates Jewish people. We are good patriots. Don't be surprised if you end up on the receiving end of a death squad. Don't be surprised if you're supporting bullshit like that. I'm just saying. I don't like it, but I'm just saying. If a Russian does X, the spiteful... Oh, I see. So they're contrarians. I see. So they just do the opposite. I got you. That's another form of it's really another form of being controlled, if you think about it. I think contrarians are actually controlled. They always say, oh, I'm a contrarian because I do the opposite of whatever this person tells me. So if I just tell you, if I want you to do X, but I know if I tell you to do X, you're going to do... Well, hold on. Let's say this. Hold on. If I want you to do Y, but I know if I tell you to do Y, you're going to do X, then I'm going to tell you to do X, and I know you're going to do Y. So it's really a form of being controlled, but you think you're not controlled because, oh, look at me, I'm Mr. Opposite. It's funny because the Ukrainian liturgical books are more like Old Believer. Yeah, I don't know. They have different religious sects over there. You have like Ukrainian Catholics, then you have the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, but then you have the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, which is some weird-ass recent creation that goes back to the CIA. I mean, it's just very bizarre. They have a church that's created by the CIA. Who the hell joins that church? Who the hell joins a church that's created by the CIA? It's not Ukrainian Orthodox Church, it's the Orthodox Church of Ukraine. But it literally was created by Bartholomew in 2019. It goes back to the CIA. During an interview with British journalist Piers Morgan posted to YouTube, Zelensky also revealed that about 390,000 Ukrainian soldiers had been wounded during Russia's invasion, a figure he once closely guarded. So for years, this war has been going on, and Zelensky wasn't saying that close to 400,000 or hundreds of thousands of soldiers had been wounded. He wasn't talking about that. But now under Trump, now he's open about it. He's saying, well, all these hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians, they've been wounded, and all these people have been wounded. It's terrible. Oh my God, it's so awful. Why now? Why? I'll tell you why. Because the Trump administration is pressuring this merchant to end the war. Is pressuring this Zelensky guy to make a deal, to hammer a deal with the Russians. That's what's happening. And it was very obvious, even before Trump entered office, that the Trump administration was going to push for an end to the war. I think that's what's happening. Is the war going to end? I don't know. We don't know. But I believe that the Trump administration is pushing for some kind of end to this war, albeit it will be a temporary stop. And if the war does end or if the war ends temporarily, that is, during that duration of peace, the Americans, NATO, the Europeans, Westerners, the Germans, they're going to use it as an opportunity to make Ukraine stronger, to prepare for war with the Russians. And I'm not saying that Americans don't have boots on the ground to fight the Russians, but what I will say is that the Americans want to give more of the burden of Ukraine to the Germans, to the Europeans, and they want the Europeans to prepare for war with the Russians. That's what I think is happening. And so that is why Zelensky now is saying, well, there's 390,000, oh yes, all these people are wounded. Because now he's saying, I'm willing, I got to end this nightmare. Let's do it, guys. And so then the article goes on to say, this is the last part of the article, asked if he would sit across Putin at the negotiating table, Zelensky said, if that is the only setup in which we can bring peace to the citizens of Ukraine and not lose people, definitely, we will go for this setup. Whoa, all of a sudden this guy, I am convinced, at this point I'm convinced that the Piers Morgan show is a psyop. I think it's some sort of a CIA conduit of some sort. It's just very strange. All of a sudden on the Piers Morgan show, this is being said. So now Zelensky is saying, I am open to a deal. I want a deal. Remember, he was the big badass with the biceps? Remember that? Now he's wanting a deal. Now he's talking about how many soldiers have been wounded in battle and all this stuff. It's the way I look at it is Morgan is very MI6. Yeah, MI6 Morgan. I think we should just call him that. Pierce Morgan. Pierce MI6 Morgan. Yeah, it's just obvious. This is a CIA media outlet. Oh, it's independent social media bullshit. There's no such thing. Do you think in the end America will join NATO or join Russia like in World War II? It's possible. I don't know. Listen, his truth is much stranger than fiction. So we have yet to see the future. I ate McDonald's and sushi with them. Okay. RFK is going to make McDonald's healthy. That's awesome. I hope that happens. Seriously, I do. It's just, from what I have read, what the Americans want to do is just put the burden of Ukraine on the Europeans, get the Germans up. And that's why you see all these articles online coming out all the time. Germany wants to get these weapons. Germany wants to make their military more powerful. Germany wants to make their military bigger. And that's why you hear about the Poles spending all this money on their military and all that, because the Europeans, they are getting prepared for a war with the Russians. You see this preparation happening in Finland and Sweden, and it's just crazy, guys. It really is crazy.